tying up a popular nymph. This is called the PM Wiggler. I've done a number of videos on some wiggler flies recently, the panfish wiggler being one of them. There's just kind of a, I don't want to say a class, but there's all of these kind of follow the same kind of formula with a little bit different materials, kind of like the Rogue Hex that I did. And the PM Wiggler is one of those as well. It's just a basic, simple little pattern, but it is a very, very good steelhead fly up in Michigan. Found it to be a really nice little panfish fly as well. It's quick, easy to tie. So that's the PM Wiggler. I'll get started tying. So I'm going to start the PM Wiggler with my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 3906B. It's just a standard nymph hook. It's a 1X long nymph hook, so it's a little bit long. If you want even a longer body, you could go with like a 96, 71 or 72, a little bit with a streamer hook. For thread, I'm using a 70 Denier UTC Wapsi UTC in an olive color. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my thread just a little bit behind the eye of the hook. And I'm tying in some bead chain eyes. You could also use some mono eyes, some black monofilament eyes if you want. But I'm using this is a medium black bead chain eye. Tying that on the underside of the hook shank here. You get a couple, 2-3 wraps in both directions. You'll notice that I'm right up against the eye of the hook here. I want to have about an eye length between the back of the eye of the hook and the cross piece on these dumbbell eyes. That's why I only put in a couple of wraps, because at this point I can just scooch that back wherever I want that final position to be, and then I can continue to wrap those bead chain eyes in. Just doing a series of crisscross wraps on it here, and then some under wraps around the eyes and I should say up under the eyes and over the hook shank. Just going to help lock those in place. I'm going to advance my thread down the shank here, and I'm actually going to go down the bend just a little bit to tie in the tail. PM Wiggler's really, really easy. If you've looked at the other videos I've done for the panfish wiggler, all of these kind of wiggler flies are very, very basic and easy. This uses some Grizzly Marabou for the tail. You get these in a loose package of, a whole bunch of different pieces and parts. The only thing you want to make certain is, depending on the size hook that you have a feather that's long enough, because you might be able to use this for the tail, but we're going to also use this for the back of the fly in a couple of different applications. So you want to make certain that you've got hackles here where the rachis is long enough for what you want. Now I've got 2 of them here. I'm just matching up the tips here and then collecting these together. I'm going to tie these in. I want them I like a little bit more than a hook length long. I'm going to tie those in, anchor those down, just down the bend, just a little bit. Coming back forward and back down. I'm going to fold these both rearward like this, fold those over. Now I'm going to put my first application of dubbing in. When I do this, I like to actually start up behind the eyes here. This is some ice dub. Because of the color scheme on this, it's just some olive ice dub. You could use something a little bit brighter if you want. The reason that I'm starting up behind the eyes is I got a little bump right here. of that hackle being folded over. So I'm going to start my dubbing because I don't need, the body doesn't have to be super thick on this. But what I like to do, rather than try to get a whole bunch of dubbing on here in one application, I like to put layers on. So I'm starting back here so I can go rearward, and you'll notice that I'm kind of filling up that hook shank right up to that hackle there where I've got it folded over. And now I don't have a huge or large diameter change there. Kind of filled that in a little bit. You could do it other ways if you want to. However you're comfortable dubbing, just go ahead and apply our dubbing here. The other thing is when you do it in layers like this, the nice thing is that you're wrapping over on top of your dubbing, so you're securing it in all the more. I'm going to take those two feathers here together, and I'm going to bring them forward. I'm going to wrap right over behind the eyes here, and this gives me a little, kind of represents an exoskeleton to our fly. Wrapping in front a little bit. Now I'm switching over to the front dubbing. I'm using, this is a Whitlock's SLF dubbing in a Damsel olive color. You could use some other ice dub if you want. Use some, life cycle dubbing, or maybe South Scud, whatever you want. But I'm just keeping with the olive tones, but brightening, I shouldn't say brightening, just lightening it up a little bit. Going to help give it a little bit more contrast and work that contrast in the fly just a little bit. And all I'm doing here is putting enough on to cover up everything in and around those bead chain eyes. Again, folding all of this back. A couple of wraps in the back here. Now I'm going to crisscross wrap around, working that thread in there a little bit. That just covers everything up really nice. Then for the last time, I'm folding this over, bringing my thread down around on top. So you're using that whole feather for not just the tail, but your exoskeleton representation as well. So now I'm just going to wrap that down a little bit, make certain I've got those butt ends trapped in there. Put in a whip finish. Like I said, if you look at the other videos I've done recently on some wiggler type flies, they're very similar. I did a rogue hex that's kind of similar to this, and I'll be doing some others just because they're kind of interesting flies. They're not your traditional nymphs in that regard, but they do represent hexes real well. And I would say even a stonefly, if you did this in a black or a brown, a little bit longer body, you'd have a nice little stonefly representation. So there you go. That is a popular steelhead nymph called the PM Wiggler. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vice today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. And what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.